Hi, I'm here with the animation studio, and this is a sneak peek at our new original animated movie, Nina and the Night of 1,000 Threads. It's a magical adventure about believing in yourself and the power of friendship. The film follows Nina, an imaginative 8-year-old girl who lives with her grandmother in a cozy cottage outside of town. Every night before bed, Nina would ask her grandmother to tell her a story, and every night her grandmother would tell her tales of faraway lands and mythical creatures. But one night, just as her grandmother began her most fantastical tale yet, she fell fast asleep, leaving Nina wide awake and yearning for adventure. As she gazed out the window, she saw the moon shining brightly overhead, which gave her an idea. She went over to her grandmother's old patchwork quilt and pulled it up around her shoulders. As she closed her eyes, she could see all sorts of wonderful things. There were fields full of sweets, floating islands in the sky, and a majestic forest filled with twinkling lights. Each design on the quilt seemed to come alive with magical wonder, sparking Nina's imagination. Then suddenly, one of the threads connecting the patches unraveled, causing the entire quilt to glow brightly, with the curiosity only a child can have. Nina reached out to touch it and was immediately sucked inside. In a flash, she found herself in one of the scenes from her grandmother's quilts. She was in a land called Candy Mountain, where everything was made of sweets, from the chocolate rivers to the marshmallow clouds. At first, Nina was overwhelmed by the amazing sights around her, but soon, her excitement started to fade away. She realized she had no way to get home and no one to turn to for help. Just when she was feeling the lowest, she met a friendly gingerbread man named Gingy, who offered to help her find a way back home. Together, they set off through the sugary landscape, avoiding the sticky caramel swamps and the lollipops that grew like trees in the distance. They finally reached the top of Candy Mountain, where they found a mysterious talking rock. The rock told them that in order for Nina to return home, she would need to collect 4 magical items from around the lands within the quilt. But the rock also warned them that if she didn't complete her quest before sunrise, she would be stuck in this world forever. As the sun began to rise, they raced down the mountain to find the next magical item. They traveled through many dangerous lands, including the floating cloud city, where giant birds tried to eat them, and the starlit forest, where playful but mischievous fairies tried to trick them. Through it all, Nina remained determined to make it home before sunrise. With Gingerbread Man's help, she outsmarted the birds, calmed the fairies, and eventually found the 3 remaining magical items. With the items now in hand, they had to cross the Whispering Woods, the largest and most treacherous land within the quilt. The woods were filled with tall trees and thick bushes that blocked their path. Plus, all sorts of strange sounds echoed through the trees, making it hard to know if they were safe or not. But even though the woods were scary, Nina didn't want to give up. She knew that if she didn't try, she wouldn't be able to go home and see her grandmother again. So she took a deep breath and walked bravely into the forest. They followed a winding path until they came across a clearing. In the middle of the clearing stood a small house made out of twigs and leaves. Smoke was coming out of its chimney, and the smell of freshly baked bread filled the air. Nina and Gingerbread Man approached the house cautiously. Then Gingerbread Man knocked on the door. A moment later, the door opened and a kind-looking woman appeared. She invited them in and offered them some tea and cookies. But while they were resting, Nina noticed a pair of scissors sitting on a nearby table. Scissors were one of the magical items she needed to get home. Could this woman help her? After drinking some tea and eating some cookies, Nina politely asked the woman if she could please have those scissors. The woman seemed surprised by Nina's request, but she agreed and handed them over. Nina thanked her and said goodbye. Then she and Gingerbread Man hurried out of the forest, eager to get home before the sun rose. Just as they were about to leave the woods, they heard a loud crash. They turned around and saw a group of angry squirrels blocking their path. The squirrels were furious because Nina had taken the shears, which belonged to the wood's protector. To make amends, the rock told them they had to return the shears and finish collecting the other 3 magical items. So they went back to the house and returned the shears to the squirrels. Then they set off once again, racing against the rising sun. Along the way, they met some helpful woodland creatures who gave them clues on where to find the last 3 magical items. First, they went to the singing brook, where they met a family of singing frogs. The frogs helped them find the second item, a shiny golden button. Then they went to the whispering willow, where they met a wise old tree. The tree told them where to find the third magical item, a sparkling silver bell. Finally, they went to the giggling garden, where they met a family of giggling flowers. The flowers helped them find the last magical item, a colourful rainbow gem. With all 4 items in hand, Nina and Gingerbread Man raced towards the talking rock. When they arrived, the rock glowed brightly and opened a portal back to Nina's world. As they stepped through the portal, the rock told them to hurry because the sun was almost up. Nina and Gingerbread Man ran as fast as they could through the forest. They sprinted past the lollipops and raced across the mountains. Just as the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, they reached the quilt. In a flash, the quilt wrapped itself around Nina, and she found herself back in her grandmother's room. She looked over and saw the moon shining brightly in the sky. Then she remembered the magical adventure she had just experienced, and the friends she had made along the way. With a smile on her face, Nina got out of bed and went to her grandmother's side. She gently stroked her grandmother's hair and whispered, "I love you." And in that moment, Nina knew that no matter where she went or what adventures she had, her grandmother's love would always guide her home. So what do you think? What's your favorite part of the story? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you there. Bye.